So President Donald Trump has commuted the sentence of former Chicago gang leader Larry Hoover. Does this mean he'll come home sometime soon? Maybe, maybe not. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about President Donald Trump commuting the sentence of former Chicago gang leader Larry Hoover. Now, as I said from the beginning, maybe he'll come home, maybe he won't come home, because he still has another sentence to deal with. Trump can only get him pardoned on the federal, but not the state. And before I go any further into it, let's back up a little bit to explain just who Larry Hoover is and why he's in prison and why he's probably having the sentence commuted and what a commutation is. Now, Larry Hoover founded the Gangster Disciples in Chicago. So you got probably 2 or 3 main gangs in Chicago, black gangs, Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, and there's others. They might have Bloods, Crips, the Spanish gangs, the Latin Kings, but he founded the Gangster Disciples. He's been in prison since 1973 for a murder in Illinois. That's the first sentence he has. For that, he's serving between 150 and 200 years. So will he come home for that? I don't really know. I doubt it, because we've not gotten to the first part, let alone the second part of the 200. But anyway, that's the first thing that he was convicted for. Now, while in prison, he was investigated for 17 years and convicted again, this time by the feds for running a continuous criminal organization, kind of a RICO case. They said he had 35,000 soldiers nationwide and made $100 million a year in this process. That's what they say. I don't know, true, false. That's what they say. And that's what he was convicted for. And again, that was 1997. So he's serving the federal sentence for that and the state sentence for the murder. But either way it goes, he's been in custody for 52 years. Okay, so that's who we're dealing with. Now, there's a little bit more that goes into it. Kanye West, I think, is the reason why Larry Hoover is free, because Kanye, all throughout his music, has been talking about Larry Hoover. You got other rappers, Rick Ross mentioning Larry Hoover in the BMF. I think on Big Meech, Larry Hoover. So his name has become a mainstay in popular like entertainment, rap culture. And among certain guys like Kanye, being from Chicago, his name is really high because of the cultural impact and because of the cultural impact locally, being from Chicago. So Kanye's been a big proponent of releasing them. Now, before I go any further into it, let's check out what Kanye said a while back to President Trump. And this is actually pretty interesting, listening to it now, because back then, I think the majority of people that saw it, okay, he's crazy, give him his medication, all this, that, and the third. But listen to it right now. It might be a little bit different. Now, I'll place this video and the next in the description if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, Facebook, etc., visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
7 million to the 9 million surrounding suburbs where we can create some factories. Now, I think it would be cool for them to be Trump factories because he's a master of industry. He's a builder. And I think it would be cool to have Yeezy ideation centers, which would be a mix of education that empowers people and gives them modern information. Like sometimes people say, this kid has ADD, this kid has ADD. He don't have ADD, school is boring. It was boring, it's not as exciting as this. We have to make it more exciting, we have to mix curriculums. You play basketball while you're doing math. You learn about music while you meditate in the morning. We have to instate mental health and art programs back into the city. So those are, and also Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. And as soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you have a block leader on every single block, they can own the block as their own. That's something I learned from Jim Brown from A Mayor I Can. We need to put curriculums from people who really came from the streets, not people who are just trying to set us up to go into a work system or prison system that applies to what people are really going through, which Jim Brown has created.
What about gun violence with all the debate about the Second Amendment going on?
The problem is illegal guns. Illegal guns is the problem, not legal guns. We have the right to bear arms.
Right on. So shout out to Ye and RIP to Jim Brown. He has passed away since then. NFL football legend, Jim Brown, humanitarian, all the above. This was during Trump's first term, so this is quite a few years ago. I'm not quite sure when it was, but it's been a while. And as you can see on the left-hand side here, you got some pictures. You got Larry Hoover. I'm not sure when that was taken, Larry Hoover. Obviously, he's in prison, had been in prison for a long time. And then you have Trump up here with the MAGA hat and the Free Hoover t-shirt on. Okay, so again, Kanye has been talking to Trump about the whole Larry Hoover thing for a while. And he mentioned it to him, I believe, in the first term many years ago. Now, I'm not sure if that's the exact reason why he's free, but that's probably a contributing factor. Now, here is some of the news video about it. Check it out.
We begin with breaking news. President Donald Trump has commuted the federal sentence of Larry Hoover, founder of the Chicago street gang, the Gangster Disciples. Hoover has been serving multiple life sentences and in a maximum security prison in Colorado for the murder of a 19-year-old neighborhood drug dealer. He is also serving a 200-year sentence in Illinois, but it's not clear if he'll be moved back to Illinois to reserve what remains of that sentence.
Now, I'm pretty sure a big part of this was he wanted to go back to Illinois. That's where he's from. He got 3 kids. I believe he's married, been married since 1968. Can you imagine that? You've been in prison since 1972 and married since 1968. Well, they were trying to get married and they couldn't do it. But in 2020, they finally allowed them to say that they were married. And they have been together since 1968.
Hoover's son, Larry Hoover Jr., posted this photo on Instagram, a White House official holding the commutation with the president's signature.
Now, that's not just a White House official. That is Alice Marie Johnson. If you remember, Trump also commuted her sentence. She had got locked up for being part of a drug gang in Memphis, Tennessee many years ago during the crack 90s. And a lot of people got crazy numbers. I'm talking about 25 years, 30 years, because if y'all don't know, during crack wars, that's like when I was a little boy. So I remember all of that stuff. The crack rock, if you had crack versus powder cocaine, you got a heavier sentence. Okay. And crack was nothing but the powder cocaine in a different form, just quote unquote rocked up. The problem with crack was it was so much violence. It was through the roof. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was necessarily a racist thing for the crack versus powder. I'm going to say it was a thing that we were desperately wanting and needing because it was so much violence. I mean, it was through the roof. What's happening right now with the fentanyl, that's health. That's people just on the street, zombied out. Crack time, you talking about dodging bullets. Oh, my God, it was crazy.
More on this breaking news story coming up at 5 and 6 o'clock.
All right, so there we go. And again, Larry Hoover, founder of the Chicago street gang Gangster Disciples, has had his sentence commuted by President Trump, only the federal one. So that does not mean he's going to come home. It'll take the Chicago state people to let him out. And who knows? I mean, you got Brandon Johnson, you got J.B. Pritzker. They might be a little bit soft-hearted and let him out. I mean, 200 years on the murder, that's a lot. And you already been in prison 52 years. But what's going to hurt him as I close, what'll hurt him is that he was running the gang in prison in the late 90s and made a bunch of money. So that'll hurt him. But either way it goes, Trump has commuted the federal sentence. So at least he'll be back in Illinois. Maybe he has his wife and his kids nearby. They can come see him easier than going way out to Colorado. And also Colorado, if it's that Supermax joint, they throw you away. They put you literally under the penitentiary, Big Rocks, Little Rocks, talking about 23 hours a day, underground. It's like you the Unabomber. If he was out there, goodness gracious, I don't even know how you survive mentally because that'll break you. That'll break you. So I think it'd be a benefit for him to at least be up out of the penitentiary in Colorado and back closer to family and friends. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about President Trump commuting the sentence of Larry Hoover? Good idea, bad idea, somewhere in between, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys might know where I'm at. I think it's okay because what'll probably happen is he's going to go back to Illinois and to a prison over there. I mean, closer to friends and family. Okay. And again, 52 years independent. That's a long time. You're talking about a murder. Like they say 25 years to life. So if you do like 15, That's kind of like a lot for a murder. Doing 25, you had to have been like a really bad person. And if you never come home, it's like you're the worst of the worst. You might as well be Ted Kaczynski. I'm not quite sure that Larry Hoover is that. Maybe to some of you is because you started the Gangster Disciples, and there's been a lot of violence that came from that. And maybe part of this is by freeing him right before the summertime in Chicago, maybe he can reduce some of the tension in the streets, because the gangs out there in Chicago off the hook. The youth violence off the hook. Maybe he'd be able to come back if people want to talk to him and they want to recognize who he is. He may have a positive impact on the violence in Chicago. But again, he's still going to be in the penitentiary, as far as I know, in Illinois. So I'm not quite sure how effective he'll be, but we'll see. We'll see how the whole thing plays out. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.